In the annals of criminal history, certain names stand out as symbols of terror and mystery. The Zodiac Killer of California is one such name, but on the other side of the United States, in the bustling metropolis of New York City, another enigmatic serial killer left a trail of fear and intrigue. Heriberto Seda, often referred to as the New York Zodiac, was a vicious murderer who terrorized the city during the early 1990s. In this episode, we will delve into the life, crimes, and psychological profile of Heriberto Seda, attempting to understand the mind behind the New York Zodiac. Early life and troubled childhood. To comprehend the origins of Heriberto Seda's murderous inclinations, it's important to start with his early life. Born on July 31, 1967, in New York City's East New York neighborhood, Seda's upbringing was far from ordinary. His parents, both Puerto Rican immigrants, separated when he was young, and he was raised by his mother, Carmen Milagros Seda. Growing up, Heriberto Seda faced a tumultuous family environment characterized by poverty, domestic violence, and substance abuse. These early experiences undoubtedly contributed to his troubled psyche. The killing spree begins. Seda's murderous rampage began in the early 1990s when he embarked on a series of shootings in New York City. His first known victim was Mario Orozco, a 16-year-old boy who was shot and killed in East New York on March 8, 1990. It was a horrifying start to a string of killings that would grip the city in fear. Seda's modus operandi was eerily reminiscent of the infamous Zodiac Killer from California. He targeted random victims, shooting them with a .22 caliber revolver. Like the Zodiac Killer, Seda also sent taunting letters to the police and local newspapers, adding an element of sadistic pleasure to his crimes. His letters were often filled with cryptic codes and symbols, further deepening the mystery surrounding him. The hunt for the New York Zodiac. As Seda continued his reign of terror, law enforcement agencies in New York City struggled to apprehend him. The city was on edge as the body count rose, and the fear of a serial killer on the loose gripped the public. Seda's letters, signed with a symbol resembling a crossed circle, earned him the moniker the New York Zodiac. One of the most notorious aspects of Seda's crimes was his apparent fixation on astrology. He often mentioned astrological signs in his letters and referred to himself as the Son of Sam, after another infamous New York serial killer, David Berkowitz. This fixation with astrology added an element of the supernatural to his crimes, fueling both fear and fascination. The arrest and trial. Despite his cunning and the fear he instilled, Heriberto Seda's reign of terror eventually came to an end. In June 1996, he was arrested after a lengthy manhunt. The breakthrough in the case came when Seda's fingerprints were found on a letter sent to a local newspaper. He was apprehended and charged with multiple counts of murder. During his trial, Seda's defense team argued that he was mentally ill, suffering from paranoid schizophrenia. They claimed that his letters and bizarre behavior were the result of his mental illness. The prosecution, however, presented evidence of his meticulous planning and argued that he was fully aware of his actions. In the end, Seda was found guilty of 3 counts of murder and multiple other charges related to his crimes. In 1998, he was sentenced to 233 years in prison, effectively ensuring that he would never be released. Psychological profile of Heriberto Seda. Heriberto Seda's case raises intriguing questions about the nature of his crimes and his psychological makeup. While he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, there is still debate about the extent to which his mental illness influenced his actions. Some experts argue that his letters and cryptic messages reveal a level of cunning and planning inconsistent with severe psychosis. Others suggest that his mental illness may have exacerbated existing violent tendencies. Seda's obsession with astrology and the Zodiac Killer mythology is also a subject of fascination. It hints at a complex psychological landscape where he may have sought to emulate the notoriety of the California killer while creating his unique identity. The symbols and codes in his letters may have served as a means of self-expression and manipulation. Legacy and impact. The New York Zodiac Killer left an indelible mark on the city's history. His reign of terror exposed the vulnerabilities in law enforcement's ability to capture a cunning and unpredictable serial killer. The fear he instilled in the public during his crime spree is still remembered by many who lived through those years. Seda's obsession with astrology and the Zodiac Killer mythology is also a subject of fascination. It hints at a complex psychological landscape where he may have sought to emulate the notoriety of the California killer while